Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to make a quant model. We are going to use Finviz data. We're going to pull that in. We're going to look at individual stocks, and we're going to make a quant score for that stock to determine if it's a buy, sell, hold, strong sell, or strong buy. We're going to take some key business metrics from Finviz. We're going to copy and paste them, and then we're going to give each one of those metrics a score, and then it'll bring back a number, and also we'll get a grade for each one based on that number. If that's something that's interesting, you want to learn how to do it, I'm going to show you right now. First thing I want you to do is make a work tab and a quant model tab. And when you go to that, we're going to go to that quant model tab, and in cell B1, I just want you to put in the ticker SMCI. Once you do that, you're going to go back to our work tab, and we're going to go to cell C18, and we're just going to hit equals, and we're going to go back to our quant model where you just put that ticker in and grab it, because we want that to come back to C18. Next to that, in cell B18, I just want you to type in ticker. I also want you to type in company in cell D18, and then in cell E18, we're going to use the formula equals Google Finance, open parentheses. We're going to reference cell C18, comma, open parentheses. We're going to look for the name, close parentheses, or open quotations, excuse me, name, close quotations, close parentheses. And that'll give us our business name. So you just want the formula as it looks there. Do as I do, not as I say. All right. The next step will be to import the HTML. So we're going to try and get this data from Finviz. So what we're doing is we're going to Finviz, and we're going to pull this table in. So we're going to go into cell C4. We're going to hit equals import HTML, open parentheses, open quotations, then stop. Then go over here, and we just want to grab all of this up to the equal sign. We don't want anything after the equal sign. Where it starts to say SMTI, you do not want to copy that. So copy this and paste it. And then we want to close it with our quotation marks. So we want to put quotation marks after it. Then an ampersand, and then we're going to reference cell C18, which is this right here, comma, open quotations, table, close quotations, comma, 10, comma, 0. Because it's the 10th table on the website. And sometimes they change this number, so this might become 9 or 8 or 11, etc. So if you're not getting it anymore, you may need to change that. I'm just going to go ahead and close that tab. We don't need that anymore. We have everything we need from there. Okay, now that we have everything in here, one thing I want to get rid of is, let me just get rid of all of this. Okay, so I want to get rid of these asterisks. I don't want those at all. So I'm just going to go into we're going to reference cell C4 here in C19. So we're just going to hit equals, and then we'll use the if error function, or actually equals split. And we're going to reference cell C4. And even though this doesn't have an asterisk, we're just going to do it for all of them. So just comma. We want to open quotations. We want to get rid of the asterisk. And we want to close our quotations and then close our parentheses. That'll get rid of the asterisk if you have one. Even though we don't have an asterisk, it just brings back what's in the cell anyway. So then we're just going to pull that over until we get to the end here. And you can see we got rid of all the asterisks. And it's just pulling all this data right in, and now we got to pull it down. And let's see if I got it. I did get it to where we're supposed to be, right? Trades is the last column. Okay, so you just want, now you have this without each one of these little asterisks. You can see you got an error here. So if you want to get rid of that, you can just use the error function. You can nest that in. So just nest the if error function with the split function, and now you don't have an error. The only thing I'll say is you don't want to do that for the percentages, because if you do that for the percentages, you're going to get back decimals. We don't want decimals. We want everything to be a percentage for the purposes of what we're doing today. Okay, now that we've gotten all that in, we want to pull it over here. Now, I have this all kind of formatted, so I don't want to change what I have going on here. So keep in mind, I'm asking you to go to your quant model tab, and I want you to start in cell A1, but I'm going to go over here, and this is where I'm going to do it, just so I don't change anything. So I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to go to my work tab, and I'm going to just grab B18. Now remember, you should have done that here. You should have done that here. I'm doing it here just to show you. And then we're just going to pull that over until we get to M. And then we're going to pull it down until we get to 14. Row 14 here. And that gives us all of our data. Now you probably have errors on this tab. You probably just messed everything up, and nothing's coming in here, and your work tab's not coming in because we're referencing this, right? And you no longer have anything. You're looking something up in your work tab, but you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be referencing. So now that you did this, one thing we do need to change is we don't want to reference this cell. We want this to be what we give it, right? SMCI. So we want to make sure we get where it said equal B, C18. We don't want that there. We want it just to say SMCI. So make sure you change that. And for you, it'd be in the quant model right here. You need to change that. So that gets all your data in, and it gets it in clean. So our next step is going to be to get everything we need for each one of these. So just go ahead and copy, what I have here. Don't copy this part down here. This is going to be formulas, but go ahead and copy what I have here. For gross margin, we want gross margin, we want operating margin, profit margin, etc. And then because this table comes in the same every time, no matter what stock you look at, everything's set up the same. You don't have to do VLOOKUPs or anything. It's pretty simple. We're just going to do equals gross margin, and we're going to get our gross margin. And then we're going to go down and we're going to hit equals operating margin, and we're going to get our operating margin. And then equals profit margin, and we'll get our profit margin. And I'm going to pause the video there for a second, and I'll do the rest of these. You get the idea. You're just going to hit equals, and you're going to get your sales year over year, trailing 12 months. So you don't want that from here. Okay, so now we have all of those in, all of our key data points that we want to use to grade, right? And you can add to this, you can subtract to it, you can do it however you want. You can put other metrics in like PE, and you can grade that, or forward PE, or whatever you want to grade, you can grade. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, but for this tutorial, I would just follow along, and then you can go ahead and change it how you would like to change it. So the first thing I want to do here is just get rid of the percentage signs. It's just easier to score without the percentage signs. So we're going to use the same thing, the equal split formula. And we're just going to grab this, and we're going to open our quotate, equals split. We're going to grab G19, comma, opens quotations, and we want to get rid of the percentage sign. So we want to put a percentage sign in there, close our quotations, close parentheses, enter. We no longer have a percentage sign. And then we'll just go ahead and drag that down, because we want that formula all the way down. And let me get rid of that kind of mess up the box thing I have there. So just get rid of that. Fix that. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we can start scoring based off of this. So the first thing we're going to do is get one of these 5 numbers into these cells based on the criteria. So for the first part, my scores are the same for the first 3, and then there's the same for all the rest after the first 3. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've copied the formulas into a Google Doc, and I'm just going to copy and paste them over here, and I'm going to show you the formulas. And you can pause the video and you can just copy every one, or I can walk you through step by step. So you could fast forward through this part if you want to just pause the video and take a look at these formulas. I tell you what cell they're in, and I tell you where to put them. So just take a look at this right here. So this formula goes in cell I-19 on our quant model tab. It goes into cell I-19 to I-21. This formula goes into cell I-22 to I-29. This one goes into cell J-19 to J-29. And this one goes into cell F-30. This one goes into cell I-30. And this one goes into cell J-30. So all those formulas are all you need, and you'll be finished. So you can pause the video, or you can stop and not watch it beyond here. If you want me to copy and paste them and show you what they mean and the context behind them, I'll stick around. So the first thing we'll do is copy the I-19 to I-21 formula. So and we get an error, a formula parse error. I'm going to pause the video for 1 second. I'm not sure why I'm getting an error. Okay, I'm not sure why when I copy that I get an error, but for whatever reason, all I had to do was just like backspace one out and then put it back in. So, and then it didn't give me an error. So we're going to copy that down for the first 3. And then we want to make sure that this is giving us the right scores, right, based on criteria. So less than, what we're saying is H19 here, if it's less than 0, we want it to bring back a score of 60, but it's not less than 0. If it's less than 5, we want it to bring back a score of 70, and it's not less than 5. But because we already told it if it's less than 0 to bring back a score of 60, so we're using an ifs statement, not an if statement, an if. So make sure you have that S in there. It's going to look at multiple criteria. And since we already told it if it's less than 0, what it's going to do is look between 0 and 5. And if we fall between 0 and 5, it's going to give us a 70. And the same goes for this. We're looking at H19. We want it to be less than 10, but we don't want it to be greater than 5 or less than 10. It's going to give us an 80. Even though we're just saying less than 15, because we already said if it's less than 10, it's going to look and say, well, if it's greater than 10, we want it to give us a 90. And the last one, we're going to flip here, and we're going to say if it's greater than 15.0001, we want it to bring back 100. And the same criteria is met for, I'm not going to go through each one for this, but for cells I22 to I29, the same thing. So we're just going to copy that. Let's see if we have the same problem. Nope, that one went right in, so we're good. All right. And we're just going to cut. So this score, I'm using the same score all the way down for this. So we just drag this on down, and then that gives us our score. And at the bottom here, what I want you to do is just average these. So you're just going to use an if equals, if error, average, open parentheses, average, open parentheses, I19. So you're looking at I19 here to I29, which is here. So you can just, if you want, you can just, I have the formula here. This goes in cell I30, I19 to I29. And I have these cells merged. So if I was to unmerge these cells, you could see that it's always the top leftmost value that you're looking at. So I'm just going to merge those back together. So if you want to merge them, you just use this button here to make it look better. And then I center them, and then I put them in the middle. And that's how I do it. So this is your center in the tab, and then right here in the middle. Okay, the next step to this tutorial is how do we get a grade? So we want one of these 5 letters to come back based on a score, and this is the criteria. If 100 comes back, we want an A. If a 90 comes back, we want a B. If a 60 comes back, we want an F, and in between. So a 90 comes back, we want a B here. So how do we do that? The same thing, we're going to be using a formula, and I just want to make sure I grab the right formula here. This one right here, cells J19 to J29. I'm just going to copy that, so I'm not typing it out step by step for you. And we're going to paste that, and we get a B, which is what we should get, right? We want to check this, so we'll just drag this down, and we want to make sure that we get the right scores. 80 gives us a C, and that's correct. 100 gives us an A, that's correct. A 60 gives us an F, that's correct. So that all worked out properly. And then so same thing, this is an if statement. So if I19, which is this one, equals 100, we want an A. If not, look at I19 and see if it equals 90. We want a B. If not, look at I19 and see if it equals 80. We want a C. And just keep in mind, when you're using text, you need to put in quotations. So we have letters, we're looking for letters, so we're putting it in quotations. Back here, we were looking for numbers, so we didn't need to do that. And then the last thing is going to be, my borders keep getting messed up based on these copies. Okay, sorry. So the next thing is going to be our overall score. And all we're doing is saying is that if it's less than 64.99, we want an F. If it's between 95 and 100, we want an A. If it's between 85 and 94.99, we want a B, and everything in between. So we get a B because it's 87.3, and it is between 85 and 94.99, so it gave us a B. So what we're going to do you're going to just use this formula here, and because I don't want to make you copy and paste it from there, I have it right here in cell J30. You are going to put this formula, and you just copy and paste. And what we're saying is we're referencing this cell, and we're saying if I30 is greater than or equal to 95, we want an A. And then we're saying if it's greater than or equal to 85, we want a B. But because we already gave it this statement here, and we're using an if statements, it's going to look between 95 and 85 and then give it a B. And then it's going to look between 85 and 75 and give it a C if it's between those two numbers. And then if it's and then we're switching it on this one, the last one, excuse me, that if it's less than 64.99, we want an F. And now the very, very last thing that we're going to do for as far as the quant model goes and everything that all the scores that we need, we want to get either a strong buy, a hold, a sell, or a strong sell based on the criteria that we put into this model. So you're going to use this formula here, and we're just saying if J30, which is this cell here, equals an A, give us strong buy. If not, look at J30 and see if it equals a B and give us buy. If not, look at J30 and see if it equals a C and give us a hold. If not, look at J30 and see if it equals a D and give us a sell. If not, look at J30 and see if it equals a F and give us a strong sell. So we get a word back based on what it says. The very last thing I'm going to do is conditionally format these to give us colors. If that's not something that interests you, the video is done for you. You have your quant model, you're all set. If you can do that on your own, go ahead. Some people might want to know, so I'm going to show you how. So just going to move my webcam picture over here. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to click on this cell that says buy. We're going to right click. Yours might already be on here. It could be the size of my screen is why I have to do more cell actions, and then I go to conditional formatting, and I'm going to just say the text is exactly strong buy. If it is, I want green, and then I'm going to add another rule, and I'm going to delete strong buy, and we still want to say the text exactly buy. I'm going to give it the color of blue. And you see it comes up blue because it is buy. And then we're going to add another rule, and I'm going to say if it's hold, I want yellow. I'm going to add another rule and say if it's sell, I want red. Then I'm going to add another rule and say if it's strong sell, I want dark red. And then we're just going to done. You see you have all those rules. So if this changes to a buy, based on, if you change this ticker and on the score, it changes to a buy, this will turn, or to a strong buy, it'll turn green. If it changes to a strong sell, it'll turn red. And then everything, if it's a hold, it'll be yellow. Okay, we're going to conditionally format this number here. So we're just going to go to our overall score here. So we're just going to click on that, right click, go to conditional formatting. And we're just going to say if the cell is less than 65, we want darker red. And add another rule. If it's between 65 and 74.99, we want a little bit lighter red. We're going to add another rule. If it's between 75 and 84.99, we want it to be yellow. We're going to add another rule. If it's between 85 and 94.99, we want it to be blue. Then we're going to add another rule. If it's greater than 95, we want it to be green. Actually, I think we want that to be 94.99. We want that greater than 94.99. I'm sorry, because we're going up to 94.99 for blue if it's between there. And then that gives you your color. And then you're done with that. And the last thing we're going to do for conditional formatting is if it's an A, we're going to go, the text is exactly A. We are going to want green. We're going to add another rule. If it's exactly B, we want blue. We're going to add another rule. If it's exactly C, we want yellow. We're going to add another rule. If the text is exactly D, excuse me, we want light red. And then we'll add another rule. If it's exactly F, and we want dark red. Your quant model is finished. So now that we're finished, let's go through and let's look at one different ticker, right? So who is Supermicro's big brother? NVIDIA. So let's take a look at NVIDIA and see if criteria changes, right? So before I click enter, we have a buy score of 87.3, an overall score of B. So it is a buy for Supermicro. Based on this criteria, is NVIDIA a better or worse investment? Just based on this criteria. I'm not saying one or the other is a better or worse investment. I'm just saying if we were to just use this quant model, which one would be a better place to put our money if we could only pick one? So I'm about to hit enter. We're going to find out. Well, NVIDIA does score higher, but it's still a B. But it's pretty close to an A. So technically, it is better to put our money in NVIDIA over Supermicro. So keep that in mind. So that's the criteria. It gets a B, but it's pretty close to an A, right? 94. We're being pretty strict about the scoring here for an A, but NVIDIA would be a better bet, right? Because 94.5 and Supermicro was an 87.3. And all that changes based on whatever ticker you put in here. I hope that video was helpful. If you liked it, consider hitting the subscribe and like button and the bell notification, and you'll get updates when I make new videos. Thanks for watching.